this next video on chapter 4, it's on polylines. We have been using lines, regular lines, which is this command right here, which what it does, it helps you just draw lines into shapes or shapes, either walls or whatever it is that you need it for. A polyline basically, just by seeing it, does exactly the same thing, but there's a major difference. Watch, I'm gonna do this. It works exactly the same. See, I'm doing exactly the same thing I did, even the same shape, and it works the same when you're clicking. And I did this one with line. I did this one with polyline right here. Now polyline, what it is, and again, you go to here, it gives you an explanation. Press F1, it tells you what it is. What it is, a polyline, just what the word says, that it's a line made out of different lines. Poly, many, line, many lines. So it's a line made out of different lines. Now, just by seeing it, you won't know which one it's a line, or which shape was done just with line, and which shape was done using a polyline. The difference is this: I did this with line, so that means that each segment or each segment that I made or I drew, they're separate. See, they're not together. Every time I clicked, it created a different line. A polyline, what it does, all those segments that you did, they're all together, like that. So very helpful. All right. For example, let me do it again, and I'll show you why is it helpful. Let's see. I'm gonna do 35 feet. Let's see. Let's say I have a little by 45, and here I'm just gonna go like that, 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 and I'll like this. Now, if this is, let's say this is my house, right? Let's say this is the house, and it's a shell, and I do the walls. And those of you in blueprint reading, remember, a line doesn't make a wall. 2 lines make a wall, or if it's exterior, it might be 3 lines if you have some sort of fascia or a veneer. So to make those lines, I'm going to show you a tool that we haven't used yet, but just for the purpose of seeing the difference. If it's a line, I need to offset this line, let's say 4 inches, or let's say 6. I'm going to do 6. I need to offset it in to create the walls. So now notice what's happening, that these lines, they're not the way they should be. In other words, they should look like that, and these should look like this. So I did this with line. All these are separate lines, but then when I offset to create my wall, I'm gonna have to go back and trim all these little pieces. See? So it's double the work. What could have been easier for me to do, it's this. Watch, I'm just gonna, and I'll show you what I'm doing right now. I will explain it a little more. This that I'm about to do. I'll explain that in a bit. Now I converted this onto a polyline. Remember, this is a single lines. This is a polyline. Here, I'm gonna offset again, and now it just grabbed everything, and I don't have to go back and trim and extend or fillet. So that's one of the issues with polyline. It could help you draw faster depending on what you're doing. Okay, so a polyline again, a single line, you can draw with line or polyline, and it will look the way you want it for it to look. But a polyline, keep in mind, there are lines that are connected, so it could be easier for you just to click and grab, and it'll grab everything. See, because all of them are connected. For this is not. So if I grab this one and move it, I'm just grabbing that line. So just a general note, line, everything. You can do a shape, it could be close, but everything's synced. It's individual lines. Polyline, everything is connected. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, by using polylines, you have options. And now let's go into it. Remember, it's going to say you specify first point. Now here you have options that you can use while doing lines. If I put A or arc, now I can do an arc with these polylines. See, and even now an arc, it gives you more options. angle, center, direction, half width, line, radius, blah 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 blah. I'm not gonna go over each and one of them. You just play around with it and look at it in the book, look it over, and the best thing to do is actually like I'm telling you, you need to play around with the tools. So and now inside those you have options. See, and again it's a polyline. So see, I click line, so then I can go back to line. So if you're designing a detail for a molding or something like that, then you can use that, and then you can just adjust also. Now why? Because all these are connected. For example, if I need to offset this, I don't know how big I made this just before. You can offset everything at once. So again, polyline, and all the lines are connected. And I'm not going to go too much in depth because I want you guys to play around with it and actually explore. What I did what I did a while ago, it was to show you, well, before I do that, let me show you more options. I'm going to do a polyline here. Now, once the polyline is made, you still have options to it. Oops, this is a line, polyline. I'm going to do a polyline. Once the line or the shape has been made, you still have options to go back and make changes to it. For example, again, this is a polyline, shape made with polylines. If you go to type PE, or actually, let's see in properties. We haven't covered that yet. PE, what PE is, it's P-edit, which is polyline edit. All right, polyline. Edit polylines and 3D polygon meshes, blah 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 blah. So PE is a shortcut for polyline edit. If I put PE and touch on the line, which is a polyline, now it gives me all these different options, and I want you to play around with them. For example, if I want this line to have some thickness, I can go to width, and then I'm going to put a 6. And now if I zoom in, now it's thicker. And put a bigger one so you guys can see better. Width 24. See, so that same line is not doing a hatch. It's a line. They just gave it width. So these are good options to have when you're using polylines. And to edit the lines, it has to be polylines. So let's see what options we have here. Spline. It gets those points you made and kind of curves it in that shape, and then it has a bunch of them here that you can play around with. Okay, and it's still the same line. It just gives you options to it. Okay, so play around with those. I'm just showing you where they are and how to get around with, and you play around with them because I don't want to go one by one because it's gonna take way too much. In the when you do polylines, it gives you options here, and in the book you can read over it. Half widths, how can you make a line go from one point to the other, and let's do it again, and let's put here to here and then continue. This also are options on polylines, so read in the book, and it tells you how to do it. Again, I don't want to spend too much time because I'd rather you play around with it and get the idea. What I want to show you is this. You can convert a line into a polyline. Watch. I'm going to create that any shape right now. And this is very helpful because you do something and you did it with line and you're like, oh, this should have, it would have worked better if it was a polyline. And then I don't want you to erase the whole thing and redo it. You can convert whatever shape you have that was made with line. I want you to convert it, or you can convert it if you need to a polyline. So I made this shape with line. Now I want for them to be connected because it will be easier for me to offset, let's say. So I want this to be made into a polyline. All these lines, you can. You put PE for P-edit again. Now, when you do P-edit, I told you a while ago that it only works with polylines. So it says select polyline. I'm going to select any of these lines. What AutoCAD is telling me is, do you want to turn this into one? In other words, it's telling me that line you have is not a polyline, but do you want to turn it into one, right? and by default has the Y for yes. So here you just press enter, put yes again, right? It's already Y by default. Y, I'm sorry, by default. Press enter. Now it tells you what do you want to do with it. And in this case, I want to join. I want to join all those lines into one line. So I'm going to click join, and then I'm going to select everything. Press enter twice, and now this is now a polyline. Okay, so you have those options again. Let me go back. If they're single lines and you want to erase and draw it again, you can make it into polyline. PE for p-edit, select it. Is it a poly? Do you want to turn it into one? Yes, enter. I want to join them. You select all of them, enter twice, and there you go. Okay, so you can make it a line into a polyline. Can you make a polyline into a line? Yes, you can. How do you do it? You explode it. It's another command that we're going to cover next, but I'm going to show it to you. Explode, what it does. Right now, all of them are connected. If you explode it, it breaks it, in other words, into segments. So if I see this, if you see this icon here, it's called explode. Breaks compound objects into its component objects. So if I click on that one, now it took it back the way it was. So you just did. They're not attached anymore. Let's put it that way. Okay. So again, I'm just touching on things that I think are necessary for you that you're going to be more than likely using when you're doing drafting, architectural drafting or architectural design. That's a lot more than I won't be able to cover, but you can read on it. Again, I'm going to trying to teach you the tricks, so how to use AutoCAD that's going to be helpful for you in this field. Let me show you one more option, and then you can explore the rest. P-edit. You want to turn it into one? Yes. I want to, let's try this. I want to close. I know it's going to close my, let's try, no. Let's try join. Oops, no. I thought it was going to do something different. But again, that's what you can do. Okay? And again, those are polylines. You can create shapes on any shape with a polyline, and just keep in mind it's going to connect. It's going to all those lines are going to be connected, and then you have options with p-edit. And the actual polyline, you do have options that I want you to explore, which are these length and so on, and you can read on those. I'm showing you that you have options. Read on those and play around with them. And once you have the polyline ready, you can make changes to it by using p-edit, PE for p-edit, and then it gives you all these options. Play around with them too, read over them, play around with them. And also you can break it into just single lines again. For instance, this is a polyline. If I break it, it's now just lines. Okay, so I'll finish right there. These are polylines. I mean, there's a lot more to cover, but I don't want to make those videos way too big. If you have any questions, please let me know. And anything on polylines, the book goes very detailed on it. So again, please let me know if there's any questions on that.